This is the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, this Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022, 9:30, Laguna Woods. The meeting will now come to order. We've established a quorum. And Debbie, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we acknowledge the media. And the next item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any objections to the agenda? So if there are no objections, the agenda is approved unanimously. So the next item is the approval of the minutes for March 17, 2022 GRF Board Agenda Prep Meeting. Are there any objections, any corrections? So if there's no corrections, the meeting minutes of March 17, 2022 are approved unanimously. The next item is the approval of the minutes for April 5th, 2022, GRF Board Regular Open Meeting. Are there any changes or deletions? Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the minutes of April 5th, 2022 are approved unanimously. So this morning, as a report of the chair, I don't have too much to say, just to remind people that our first insurance ad hoc meeting is going to be on Monday, and that we also have our bus meeting. It will be the third, and that's on Thursday. And I have sent a special invitation to all the boards and asking if they would attend. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware and who wants to attend will attend. And the other thing I have to say is one of the best things we can do for ourselves is to always be grateful. And I have to tell you that this community is a great community. And I just appreciate everything that we have here, all our clubs, all our amenities, the great concert that we had on Saturday night. I mean, people were saying that it was one of the best. So it's always good to look around us and look and see what we're grateful for. So the next item is the CEO report. Siobhan.
Thank you, President Carpenter. Members of the board, I have a few updates this morning. And I wanted to also cover tomorrow's Age Well meeting, which is in Clubhouse 1 at 1 p.m. And I do want to mention to our bus riders that bus service will be modified tomorrow to run from noon to 1 p.m. to make sure that everybody can get to the Clubhouse 1 for the meeting. Residents are invited to Memorial Day at the Performing Arts Center. This will occur on Monday, May 30th at 1 p.m. This is an opportunity to remember those who gave their lives serving our country. Admission is free, and tickets to reserve seating are available at the PAC box office. Ceremonies will include the United States Marine Corps, American Legion Post 257, and a performance by the All-American Boys Chorus. I also want to mention that we received a construction notice from the City of Laguna Woods. And to improve pedestrian accessibility, sidewalk and curb ramp improvements are underway on Santa Maria Avenue and on El Toro Road between Cali Sonora to Cali Corta, as I'm sure you've all seen. There are intermittent vehicle travel lane restrictions, sidewalk and curb ramp closures during the construction. Completion is expected on Friday, May 6th, so just in a few days. Also, we want to remind residents of the water conservation requirements that have been put into place by the El Toro Water District. On March 24th, the district declared a level 2 water shortage and asked customers to voluntarily reduce water use by 15%. The Water District urges residents to save as much water as possible and to follow its permanent water conservation requirements. And those requirements are available on the village website under the News tab, and you just look for Learn Water District's Conservation Requirements. There's a nice flyer that everyone can refer to. And that concludes my update this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next item is the open forum. 3 minutes per speaker. At this time, the members only may address the Board of Directors regarding the items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this Board of Directors. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other people. No audio or video recording by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments. So members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom link or call 1-669-900-6833 or email meeting@vmsinc.org. So do we have any kind of speakers today?
We have one on Zoom, Richard Rader.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sure that VMS is aware of, as is the board, of some technical issues that have been cropping up lately with regard to board meetings and committee meetings. In the past several committee meetings that I've attended, they've been delayed due to sound and other issues. And again this morning, when I turned on to Zoom, suddenly the sound appeared, and it occurred right in the, I guess, in the middle of Siobhan's comments. So I'm wondering, I'm sure VMS is aware of this, but I'm hoping that prior to any board or committee meeting that's going to be on Zoom or Granicus, that they do tests maybe 15 minutes beforehand so that we're ready to go at the appointed time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others?
There are no other comments.
Thank you. Is there any response? Okay.
They are aware that there have been some issues, and they actually were here earlier fixing things. So it's being addressed. So just everybody be patient. That's all. This happens with technology. Sometimes things don't work. Thanks.
And we depend on it so much.
That we do.
So the next item is the consent calendar. Excuse me. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be subject for further discussion and action by the board. So the recommendation from the Finance Committee is that a consent with its statutory obligations and subcommittee of the board consulting of the treasurer and at least one other board member reviewed and approved preliminary Golden Rain Foundation financials for the month of March 2022 by this vote ratify that such review be confirmed in this month's board meeting, open session meetings.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there's nothing in my packet under that item.
It's just, turn the page. It's on the back side of the open. The agenda.
I have no 11A anywhere.
No, the 11A, this is 10A. that
I
we're-
mean 10A, yes. Mine goes from 5 to 11, and I just picked up the addendum, which was not in my packet.
There's never an item included in your packet for this.
Yes, ma'am, there is. I went back and looked at previous months. Okay, we're voting on something that's not in the agenda packet.
Okay, Yvonne, would you look at her packet and see if she has the same as everybody else?
Well, she didn't have the the addendum.
Okay, but she does have the original packet.
I do, yeah.
This is
But there
page
is no
2 of the original
10A. It
packet.
goes from 5B.
Goes from
11A.
5B?
What?
Weird.
Well, is there a packet over here?
We have an extra packet.
To give her
All the packets have the same information. There has not been an item 10A included on agenda packets.
Okay.
10A is part of the original packet.
Yes, but it's never a written report. It's always.
Oh, is that what she's looking for?
Yes.
I apologize.
It says that it's confirmed in our meeting minutes, and I don't see anything in the minutes.
Okay, I did talk to Jim about this, and I'm sorry he's out this morning because he's having a root canal.
It shows that. Okay.
Okay, I did talk to Jim about this prior to our meeting, especially for the confirmation of the two people. And he basically says, yes, two people were reviewing these financials at the last financial meeting, but he will make every effort to make it formal, okay, so that everybody is aware, and that Elsie would be appointed as the other person to review it. So I did talk to him about that.
Well, my whole point is that there should, if we have minutes and it says it's in the minutes of this packet, there should be that signed form in the packet that goes into our documentation for history.
Okay, we'll look into that, but in any of our GRF packets. All right, thank you. So we'll look into it.
Our procedure is to confirm it in this month's minutes. So it will be reflected in this month's minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the next item is number 11, unfinished business. And so I want everyone to turn to the agenda, the addendum. Does everybody have the addendum?
11A first.
11A is update committee appointments. So are there any changes or deletions to the committee appointments?
Do you want me to read the additions?
Yes, please, Joan.
Okay. Resolution 90-22-XX, GRF Committee Appointments. I'll read just the changes. Strategic Planning Committee, Reza Bastiani has been eliminated and Diane Casey has been put in for United. Gay Page has been eliminated in the advisors. Under Community Activities Committee, Pearl Lee has been eliminated from United and Diane Casey has been appointed for United. And Ajit Gidwani has been added as an advisor. Under the Equestrian Center Ad Hoc Committee, Gary Emfield has been eliminated as an advisor. Under the Revenue Resources Ad Hoc Committee has been deleted completely. Under the Finance Committee, Diane Casey has become an alternate for United, and Pat English is now be a representative for United. Under Information Technology, the ITAC, Cash Ashrakar has been added for United. Under Maintenance and Construction Committee, Lenny Ross has been added for United. Anthony Liberatore has been eliminated as United. And on Advisors, Richard Palmer has been eliminated. Under Clubhouse Renovation Ad Hoc Committee, Pat English has been added for United, and the advisors, Kathy Garris, Carl Randazzo, and Bill Walsh have been added. The new committee website Ad Hoc Committee is as follows. Joan Milliman, Chair, Debbie Dotson for GRF, Elsie Addington, alternate for GRF, Anthony Liberatore for United, Pearl Lee for United, Azar Asghari, alternate for United, Lynn Jarrett, third, Annie McCary for third, and Mark Laws, the alternate for third. The advisors are Lucy Parker and Diane Phelps. Sorry. Under Mobility and Vehicles Committee,
Lenny Ross has been eliminated for United, and Pearl Lee has been added for United. Under Disaster Preparedness Task Force, Cash Ashrakar has been added as United alternate. Under Purchasing Ad Hoc Committee, Neda Ardani has been added for United, and Anthony Liberatore has been eliminated from United, as United. Select Audit Task Force, Elizabeth Roper has been eliminated for United, and Cynthia Rupert has been added for United. The Insurance Ad Hoc Committee consists of Bunny Carpenter, Chair, Anthony Liberatore, United, Lenny Ross, United, Cash Ashrakar, United, Robert Muchnick, III, Yvonne Horton, GRF, Reza Karimi, GRF, Juanita Skillman, GRF, and the advisors, Leilani Isaacs, Catherine Freshley, and Bob Lowe. And that's it.
Thank you.
I move that we accept these, these names as our committees.
Madam President, is there any reason that third only have one member on that committee?
Which committee was that?
The last one, insurance.
That's an ad hoc committee, so they can have anything.
So
Ad hoc committees don't follow
I
the
understand.
same.
I just was wondering, everyone has.
Please make sure your mic is on.
So,
Pardon me?
Will you ask your question again, Reza?
The question is that any particular reason that third only assigned one person to this committee?
Director
Rather,
Karimi,
everyone
please
else
turn
has
your
three or
mic.
Discuss it
four?
after the motion's made. We can discuss it after the motion is made.
I will answer you.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded. Are there any objections?
Or questions, discussion, questions, what?
Yeah, my question stands. I'm asking that question. Is there any reason?
Okay,
Okay.
the reason is that that was a decision by that third president. Yeah. So he does have the choice, of how many he wants to put on the committee.
No, I understand. This is one of the, biggest issue facing this community, and we only have one representation in that committee. I understand that, but it's kind of not making sense.
I know. Thank you. And Elsie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wondered why I was made an alternate instead of, I was a regular member before.
For which committee?
Oh, I'm sorry, on the website committee.
That was
Sorry, say again?
on the
On the
website committee?
website, because there's.
Why is she?
Because it's an
alternate?
ad hoc committee, and
Because there's so many people, you're still going to be on the committee and have a say. You're on the committee. We
yeah,
had to do
I
it.
understand. I understand.
It was my choice.
Oh, it was your choice?
Sorry, but it doesn't make any difference. You're still on the committee.
I just don't get to vote.
No.
We aren't voting most of the time anyway. We're making recommendations, okay?
It's okay. It's okay.
and-
Never mind. I just wanted.
And I have to confirm,
It's all cool.
what Joan is saying is that the committees make recommendations basically to the board. So whether they vote or not, is really not relevant. I think that it's important that they have the input, though. Okay. All right, so
We have to vote.
are there any objections? If there's no objections, then the committee appointments are approved unanimously. All right. So on the next is your addendum. So I just want to make sure, Jim, do you have the addendum?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, so everybody has the addendum? So we'll go forward. The next item, 11B, Saddle Club donation, Equestrian Center shade structures, notification, 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. So Joan, will you read the resolution?
Resolution 90-22-XX, donation agreement between GRF and Saddle Club for 2 shade shelters. This agreement, entered into this 3rd day of May 2022, is by and between the Golden Rain Foundation, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, and Saddle Club, the donor, who donated 2 shade shelters. Whereas GRF and donor recognize the importance of community facilities and amenities, and whereas GRF and donor acknowledge the benefit of donations when they have a purpose consistent with GRF goals and are in the best interest of Laguna Woods Village, and whereas the donor has offered to donate 2 shade shelters totaling $2,167.93, and whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department Director or COO reviewed and affirms the proposed donation meets the criteria for acceptance contained in the GRF donation policy. A, meet the true need of the facility. B, does not interfere with the intended current or future use of the facility. And C, does not require the relocation of other equipment or infrastructure to accommodate the donation. Now, therefore, be it resolved, May 3rd, 2022, that GRF and donor, in accordance with the described conditions and obligations hereinafter set forth, and agree as follows. Section 1. The donation, known as 2 shade shelters described below, is donated in its entirety to GRF, hereafter owned by GRF and managed on behalf of the residents of Laguna Woods Village by Village Management Services, Inc. Section 2. Donation description. 2 shade shelters. The space of the facility is the Equestrian Center turnouts. The location is the Equestrian Center. Section 3. Amount of donation. The item cost is $2,167.93. Installation cost is 0. Maintenance cost is 0. Total estimated donation is $2,167.93. Section 4. GRF reserves the right to move or remove and or retire the donation following cessation of the 5-year period. The term shall commence upon the date entered into and indicated above. Section 5. GRF will not replace the donation or community space improvement if it is stolen, vandalized, worn out, irreparably damaged, destroyed, or expires. Section 6. Installation and maintenance. GRF shall be responsible for installation and maintenance of the item, including any reasonable repairs. Section 7. Term. The term of this agreement is a minimum of 5 years or beyond, if applicable. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this resolution.
I'll second.
Are there any objections? If there are no objections, the Saddle Club donation is approved unanimously. So the next item, 11C, is Old Pros donation. And so the April initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. Joan, please read the resolution.
Resolution 90-22-XX, donation agreement between GRF and the Old Pros. This agreement, entered into this 3rd day of May 2022, is by and between the Golden Rain Foundation, GRF, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, and Old Pros, donor, for $1,000. Whereas GRF and donor recognize the importance of community facilities and amenities, and whereas GRF and donor acknowledge the benefit of donations when they have a purpose consistent with GRF goals and are in the best interest of Laguna Woods Village, and whereas the donor has offered to donate $1,000 for purchase of equipment and or tools such as rakes, shovels, and trash cans, and whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department Director or COO reviewed and affirms the proposed donation meets the criteria for acceptance contained in the GRF donation policy. A, it meets the true need of the facility. B, it does not interfere with the intended current or future use of the facility. And C, it does not require the relocation of other equipment or infrastructure to accommodate the donation. Now, therefore, be it resolved May 3rd, 2022, that GRF and donor, in accordance with the described conditions and obligations hereinafter set forth, and agree as follows. Section 1, the donation, known as $1,000, described below, is donated in its entirety to GRF, hereafter owned by GRF and managed on behalf of the residents of Laguna Woods Village by Village Management Services, Inc., VMS. Section 2, donation description, $1,000. Location, Equestrian Center. Section 3, amount of donation. Item cost is $1,000. Installation cost is $0. Maintenance cost is $0. Total estimated donation is $1,000. Section 4, GRF reserves the right to move or remove and or retire the donation following cessation of the 5-year period. The term shall commence upon the date entered into and indicated above. Section 5, GRF will not replace the donation or community space improvement if it is stolen, vandalized, worn out, irreparably damaged, destroyed, or expires. Section 6, installation and maintenance. GRF shall be responsible for installation and maintenance of the item, including any reasonable repairs. And Section 7, term. The term of this agreement is a minimum of 5 years or beyond, if applicable. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Are there any, yes?
Thank you to the old pros.
Yes, I appreciate all donations. Are there any objections? Hearing none. The Old Pros donation is approved by unanimously. So the next item is 11D, Village Community Fund Phase 2, Equestrian Center, Help the Herd. April initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. So Joan, please read the resolution.
Resolution 90-22-XX, Phase 2, Village Community Fund Equestrian Center Help the Herd Program. Whereas on May 3rd, 2022, the GRF Board accepted VCF's application to start fundraising for the Equestrian Center Help the Herd Program in the amount of $33,565 in order to purchase the following: additional shade shelters, new round pen fence, and advanced veterinary care support for the GRF horses. And whereas in 2021, VCF, that's the Village Community Fund, generated $10,000 in fundraised monies donated to the GRF Equestrian Center for the purpose of purchasing medical care, TAC, and supplies, and shade shelters. And whereas any remaining donated funds will be redistributed to VCF. And now, therefore, be it resolved, May 3rd, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby accepts the donation of $33,565 from Village Community Fund for the Equestrian Center Help the Herd Program in order to purchase the following: additional shade shelters, a new round pen fence, and advanced veterinary care support for the GRF horses. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution.
Second
Debbie
it.
seconded.
Any discussion? All right.
First of all, let me say, I totally support this. However, to me, it looks like it's cart before the horse. The next item that we have is the donation policy. And the donation policy on page 5 of 22 specifically says, acceptance of VCF donations or sponsorships requires GRF board approval of the donation sponsorship agreement, which is our next item, followed by the execution of the corresponding deed other. So it looks like we're doing one before the other.
Actually, that's not true. We've already signed a donation policy and the appropriate people have already signed it. So what this is that we're updating the policy. So we wouldn't be waiting for this, for the second phase to accept the donation just because we're updating a policy.
That's right.
Did I say that clear?
That's right. Yes. That's right.
Okay, thank you. We already have a policy.
I know we have a policy,
So-
but we're going to change it
If I
in just a
may.
few minutes. And it just seems like particularly for the Village Community Fund donation, it's specifically called out in the new policy, and it seems like we're
If I may.
Okay.
there.
I think
Thank you.
she's
Madam
asking
Chair,
about
Madam
the order of it, and,
Yeah.
she's saying, first approve this and then approve the other one.
If we'd done E first, there'd be no question in my mind.
Okay, thank you. Was there any other comments?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the question, is there anything in the upcoming policy change that would change our approval of this donation?
Madam
So
Chair.
it may be a difference, a distinction without a difference.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Joan wants to
The
respond to that.
the only change that would be noted, which would come later, is the replacement of the chief operating officer, COO, in the policy with services manager. That's the only change in the wording. Otherwise, it's a matter of, you'll see when we do the approval, that it's not going to make a difference whether we approve this or not. We need to approve the funding. It's there.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any other discussion?
We have a comment on Zoom from Cash Akrikart.
Okay,
Yeah, I was wondering if it's a good idea to recognize the donors. Maybe that will encourage more donors.
I didn't hear what you
You hear
said.
me?
Recognize what?
Recognize the donors by mentioning their name or
They are named in the policy.
who they are or something. It'll be an advertisement for them, and maybe that will increase donors to our organization.
We haven't discussed that yet, but I can tell you that for the last VCF donation to the Equestrian Center, they actually had a celebration recognizing all those donors, and they were invited to that celebration, which I was one, and Yvonne was another one from the GRF board. So,
That is
They're
definitely,
also
yeah,
named
that is
in
a
the-
good way of doing it. But if we recognize so that our members, whoever listens to these or is logging on to this Zoom meetings, they can also recognize, they can also know who the donors were. And that way maybe will increase people to donate to our organization.
thank you. Joan?
All of the donors are noted in the first paragraph, which I read, of the resolution. In this case, the donor is the old pros for $1,000. And in the other case, which you just read, it was acceptance for the Equestrian Center help. That's the, in that case, it's a general thing for the general help of the herd, and people can donate to this funding. So it's not just one donor, it's everybody who wants to donate to this particular one. But in each case, the donors are mentioned in the first paragraph of the resolution.
Okay, thank you, Joan. Is there any other comment? Juanita?
I think what Cash is trying to get across on this one, VMS is a group. I mean, VCF is a group. And he's saying that the donors of this $10,000 to VCF should be recognized. That's all. And
Thank you.
they're not recognized in that first paragraph. It's only the group.
VCF is going to handle that, I believe. The Village Community Fund will have a list of donors eventually, so that's still in the works, I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right,
Yeah,
Debbie?
I think that what you said earlier, Bunny, is that, the organizations are having the list of who's donated.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine if we spent the time to say everybody who donated the $25,000 to pickleball, we'd be here for 3 days. So I think just, having them, I understand what he's saying, that when we do recognize the overall group for the donation, and I think that it would just be too time consuming to do individual donors, but that is a great idea, but just not practical. Thank you.
Thank you. And then also Joan said we're working on some way to
Some
recognize
public
them.
notice so
Yeah.
that everybody will recognize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, is there any further discussion? So if there's no further discussion, are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the Village Fund, Community Fund Phase 2 for the Equestrian Center Help the Herd is approved unanimously. So the next item is entertain a motion to approve the donation policy update. So this has gone through the 28-day notification for member review. Comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. So Joan, please read the resolution.
Resolution 90-21-XX, donation policy. I'm going to add the word update because this is different. Okay. Whereas on May 5th, 2020, the board unanimously adopted the donation policy to provide an efficient and effective process for accepting gifts and monetary donations in a responsible, transparent, and accountable manner that is consistent with Golden Rain Foundation goals. And whereas through the use of the policy over the past 2 years, the need for adjustments has become apparent, including such items as the inclusion of sponsorships, the elimination of the $100,000 limit on cash donations, the waiver of the requirement for community space element or elements to be purchased by VMS in certain circumstances, the waiver of the requirement that maintenance costs be funded by the donor in certain instances, the application of surplus funds to related or ancillary operational and maintenance expenses, and the replacement of the Chief Operating Officer, COO, in the policy with Services Manager. And now, therefore, be it resolved May 3rd, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the amended donation policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting. And resolve further that Resolution 09-20-21, adopted May 5th, 2020, is hereby superseded in its entirety and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution for the donation policy update.
I second it, and I have a comment.
All right.
As I'm reading this, there's a clause that we've added that specifically addresses what Cash asked. Sponsors are defined, and GRF will highlight the sponsor. So that's right in the new policy. That's one of the changes. So I think we covered this question quite well. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Juanita?
I'm sorry, I'm a stickler. The 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one, application of surplus funds. No, I'm sorry, the one before that. Waiver of the requirement that maintenance costs be funded by the donor in certain instances. And in the policy, it reads, the GRF board may waive the requirement that maintenance costs be funded by the donor in certain instances. there's no, I mean, to me, that's so subjective. If they waive it for me, are they going to waive it for her? If they waive it for the equestrian center, are they not going to waive it for paddleball? I think we need more specifics. Certain instances could be anything.
Okay, do you want to make a comment? Because that was geared towards somebody that is putting in something like a bench, something physical.
That's right.
And that's where it's the intent is physical and not any of these other types of donations of dollar amounts. So do you want to comment?
Yes, the other example would be an extremely large donation. If someone donated a building, for instance, are you going to turn down $5 million donation because they don't want to pay $50,000 a year for maintenance? That was another example that we discussed when we were working through the amendment.
Is there any other comments? So if there's no other comments, are there any objections? So if there's no objections, the new donation policy is approved. The updated donation policy is approved unanimously. So the next item, 11F, excuse me, is to entertain a motion to approve the men's golf club annual memorial tournament. So this was April initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. So Joan, please read the resolution.
Resolution 90-22-XX, Men's Golf Club Annual Memorial Tournament. Whereas staff recommends to grant the Men's Golf Club use of the 27-hole golf course for the annual Memorial Golf Tournament on May 21st, with the stipulation of paying regular resident and guest green fees, Clubhouse 2 room rental rates, and bar service rates. And whereas the men's 18-hole golf club hosts the annual Laguna Woods Village Memorial Golf Tournament in May on the 27-hole golf course. All proceeds are donated to the Laguna Woods Village Foundation to assist residents in financial need. And whereas past requests were made annually to the GRF board to allow free use of the golf course in an effort to increase the donation amount for the foundation. Previous requests were granted in 2018 and 2019. And whereas tournaments such as the Laguna Woods Village Memorial Golf Tournament are typical in the golf community and are held to generate monetary proceeds for various charity organizations. The 2019 Memorial Golf Tournament raised $35,000 for the Laguna Woods Foundation. Furthermore, the allowance of such tournaments creates positive goodwill within the community benefiting residents. And whereas on March 10th, 2022, the Community Activities Committee approved exclusive use of the golf course on May 21st for the Men's Golf Club Annual Memorial Golf Tournament with stipulation that all green fees, Clubhouse 2 rental fee rates, and bar service fees are paid in full with no discounts. And now therefore be it resolved, May 3rd, 2022, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts to grant the Men's Golf Club use of the 27-hole golf course for the annual Memorial Golf Tournament on May 21st, 2022, with the stipulation of paying regular resident and guest green fees, Clubhouse 2 room rental rates, and bar service rates. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution.
Second?
Debbie seconded.
Any discussion? Are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the motion to approve the Men's Golf Club Annual Memorial Tournament is approved unanimously. Thank you. So the next item is number 12, new business. And the next item is to entertain a motion to cancel duplicate bridge tournament room reservation rental rate. So, Joan, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution 90-22-XX, duplicate bridge tournament room reservation rental rate. Whereas staff recommends to cancel and supersede Resolution 90-11-28, nullifying the exception rate during the annual February duplicate bridge tournament. And whereas from 2008 to 2011, the Duplicate Bridge Club was approved each year to hold an annual Bridge Unit 525 event on the second weekend in February at Clubhouse 7 in the Bridge Room and Main Lounge. And whereas on February 12th and 13th, the Duplicate Bridge Club logged 141 total guests in attendance for this year's tournament, equating to $705 in GRF guest fees collected. Staff anticipates annual receipt of up to $800 in guest fees from the tournament. And whereas on April 5th, 2011, GRF approved Resolution 90-11-28, accepting the annual Bridge Unit 525 event as an automatic annual rollover reservation, an exception to the permanent rollover reservation policy, and that the organization shall be charged the exception rate for use of the Clubhouse 7 Bridge Room and the main lounge as the event is booked on behalf of an outside organization. And whereas GRF approved Recreation and Special Events Department policy section regarding permanent rollover reservation states, the rollover must have a minimum of 4 identical reservations during the calendar year. All dates in the series must be for the same day of the month or week, such as the first Tuesday or every Tuesday and so on, at the same time and duration and in the same room. No modifications for date, time, duration, location, so on, are permitted. And whereas on January 13th, 2022, the Duplicate Bridge president approached the CAC and requested that the exception rate for their upcoming tournament for February 12th and 13th of 2022 be eliminated. The president expressed that the outside organization was no longer coordinating the event. Instead, the Village Duplicate Bridge Club is solely in charge of the tournament. It was also stated that the tournament would be held in the Bridge Room and the main lounge was no longer needed. And whereas on April 14th, 2022, the Community Activities Committee recommended and approved the use of the Bridge Room for the Duplicate Bridge Club tournament at no cost while continuing to collect the $5 guest fee. Now, therefore, be it resolved, June 7th, 2022, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves to cancel and supersede Resolution 90-11-28 to show the cancellation of the exception rate during the annual February Duplicate Bridge Tournament, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we accept this resolution for discussion purposes and postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360. Need a second?
All right, is there a second?
Yvonne, okay.
Okay. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, the motion to cancel duplicate bridge tournament room reservation rental rate is approved unanimously. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve broadband services reconnection fee. So Joan, would you read the resolution?
Resolution 90-22-XX. Suspend cable cut or internet in the event of disciplinary action. Whereas the Golden Rain Foundation Corporation is an association formed to manage a common interest development under the Davis-Sterling Common Interest Development Act, Articles of Incorporation and Article 11, Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods And whereas the purpose of the Golden Rain Foundation is to develop and maintain facilities and services, bylaw 2.1.1, operate community facilities, bylaw 2.1.2, and operate as a common interest development in accordance with the Davis-Sterling Common Interest Development Act in providing community facilities, bylaw 2.1.3. And whereas the Golden Rain Foundation has the power to adopt rules and regulations, including disciplinary procedures with regard to its mutual members and permitted and approved qualifying residents, co-occupants, tenants, and their guests, bylaw 2.2.3, and the authority to establish policy, bylaw 2.3. And whereas cable internet services for the mutual members, qualifying residents, co-occupants, tenants, and their guests are provided by way of a contract between the Golden Rain Foundation Corporation and a cable internet provider, that's a master contract, and then a bulk service contract between the Golden Rain Foundation Corporation and the housing mutuals, which consists of Laguna Woods Mutual Number 50, Third Laguna Hills Mutual, and United Laguna Hills Mutual. And whereas each of the housing mutuals' bylaws empowers their respective boards to manage and govern property, facilities, and services, including the adoption of policies and rules. Laguna Woods Mutual Number 50, bylaws 2.1.2 and 2.3, Third Laguna Hills Mutual bylaws 2.1.3, 2.3, and 2.3, and United Laguna Woods Mutual bylaws 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. And wherefore, should be whereas, the Board of Directors acknowledges that a cable internet is a jointly administered amenity of both the housing mutuals and the Golden Rain Foundation Corporation. Now therefore be it resolved that on June 7th, 2022, that the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation Corporation and the Board of Directors of each of the housing mutuals each possess the power to take disciplinary action against their respective mutual members, including but not limited to the suspension of cable, internet, and internet services. And resolve further that upon the member rectifying the reason for suspension, the cable or internet services, the reconnection fee must be paid in advance prior to the reconnection of services. Resolve further that it is within the sole authority of the Golden Rain Foundation to negotiate the terms of the master contract, including but not limited to pricing and programming, and resolve further that it is the sole obligation of the Golden Rain Foundation to develop, maintain, operate, and or repair the facilities necessary to provide cable or internet for the mutual members, qualifying residents, co-occupants, tenants, and their guests, and resolve further that this resolution cancels and supersedes Resolution 90-17-38 to the extent that it differs. And the next wording should be out. To the extent that it differs, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. Before I go ahead, take out the wording "and Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods" in that last top, resolve further. Okay, thank you. So I move that we accept this resolution for the purpose of discussion, but postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
Second.
Reza seconded. Okay.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Yes?
I'd like a little more clarification on that last, or next to last, resolved further. Do we really want to cancel and supersede Resolution 90-17-38, which is the one that sets up that they can cancel the other? What we're doing is we are amending it to say that now there is a reconnection fee. And I don't think to the extent that it differs is enough to support canceling and superseding the original resolution.
The new resolution will include this wording. The new resolution will include the old wording and the new wording. It won't be changed, except it will be changed. It is an amendment, but it's a new resolution. That's my understanding, I don't know.
I'm reading the new resolution and I don't see that in it, but I just don't want to get rid of our ability to cancel.
No, we're not doing
Oh,
that.
no.
We're just adding to that.
So if we are canceling and superseding the resolution that gives us that right,
We always do that.
so.
What Joan has said is that the new resolution covers everything that was in the last resolution. And in addition, it adds the ability to be able to charge someone a reconnection fee. That's the only change. But the purpose of canceling the other one, okay, and having a new one is for clarity. So is there any further discussion? So if there's no further discussion, the motion to approve broadband services reconnection fee. Let's see, I didn't say, is there any objections? Okay, so if there's no objections, the motion to approve broadband services reconnection fee is approved unanimously. Okay, the next one is the Interboard Anti-Harassment, Anti-Abuse, and Anti-Intimidation Policy formation of a joint hearing body. So before Joan reads the resolution, I just want to draw to your attention that that this is a joint effort, between all the boards so that we have an anti-harassment policy that is the same for every board, okay? But the next thing we have to do is we have to change our nuisance policy. So next month, we'll do some changes on that to modify it so that it syncs with this and that there is absolutely clarity so that nothing can be confused between nuisance and anti-harassment. Okay, so Joan, would you read the resolution?
Can I just say one thing? It's just really tiny correction, but I don't think, maybe not even a correction. May I?
She hasn't read the motion yet.
I know, but there's a little thing in one of the attachments that, I don't care, I just want to.
When we do the discussion, you can do that. When we do the discussion on this,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
that's okay. Okay. Resolution 90-22-XX. Anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy and charter of the Joint Hearing Body Committee. Whereas the Board of Directors of Golden Rain Foundation, GRF, United Laguna Woods Mutual, United, and the Third Laguna Hills Mutual, Third, require a clear and consistent policy to address claims of harassment, abuse, and intimidation by directors to staff of Village Management Services, Inc., fellow directors and residents, as well as claims involving harassment, abuse, and intimidation by residents to staff of VMS directors and other residents. And whereas this anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy, known as policy, is intended to provide guidance relative to such behavior and issue a mechanism for addressing same by the Anti-Harassment, Anti-Abuse, and Anti-Intimidation Joint Hearing Body Committee. And whereas this policy is being adopted by the Board of Directors of GRF, United, and Third in the exercise of their respective duties to maintain, protect, and enhance the value and desirability of Laguna Woods Village and the interests of all of its members. Now therefore, be it resolved June 7th, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby introduces the anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy and charter of the Joint Hearing Body Committee as attached to the official minutes of this meeting. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we accept this resolution for discussion purposes now
I second
and
it.
postpone the final vote 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
Now I second it.
Is there a second?
Okay, yes, Juanita seconded.
Okay, so discussion. You have a question?
No,
I
no,
think
Elsie.
had,
I just had one. Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is, first of all, this is a wonderful document. I was really impressed. Really impressed. It's just, every question I had ended up getting tied up at the end. It was like a good short story. It was really good. That being said, on the attachment 1, which is on page 3 of 12, but for the attachment, it's page 104, under governing documents, under the definitions, I wondered if maybe, I'm trying to put this in a circumspect way. Should United's occupancy agreement is a governing document for United. So, and it's a big one. So I wondered if we could just include occupancy agreement in the listing of the various governing documents.
and which number is that under?
Number 2, definitions, H, governing documents.
Oh, governing documents, okay.
They are in effect United CCNRs.
Yeah. We only,
It's in the rules
we have
and
the articles of
regulations.
incorporations, the bylaws, and our occupancy agreement, which is a killer.
But if they're part of the CCNRs,
We don't have CCNRs.
okay.
It
So they-
replaces our, it doesn't replace it. We have it instead of CCNRs in United. You have CCNRs, we do not.
We can
Period.
look at that.
We can check that. What's the title again? It's
Occupancy agreement. The whole title is United Occupancy Agreement.
United.
And it's listed on the website under governing documents on the documents page for United.
Okay,
And that's where a lot of our issues that are involved in here fall under for United,
okay,
are under the occupancy agreement.
thank you.
Yeah, we have 28 days to do this, so that's part of it.
well, I just brought it
That's all
up.
part of it. Thank you. And we
Brought
know
it
that.
up. Read
Okay,
your
thank
minds.
you. Juanita?
Oh, I would like to speak strongly in favor of this because I have worked for many years to advocate this. I'm so glad to see it finally coming to fruition. And I would humbly ask to be one of the 2 members from GRF on this committee. Thank you.
Duly noted, it's in my, it's
me
in my
too.
notes here.
I volunteer too.
Okay, Debbie was next.
And then Diane, I think, has her hand up online. I just wanted to ask a question. Is it possible that we could create a hotline or a tip line or somewhere that people could, because I think a lot of times people don't report it because they have to go through the process. Now, I realize there'd be an investigation, and at that point, they'd have to come forward. But I just feel like if we had a separate phone line, you might get more people participating. That's my comment.
So,
Who's going to man it?
do you have a comment on that?
We'll have to talk about it, the
Okay.
group. Thanks.
Okay, so I see Diane Casey's hand is up.
Yes, hi. Thank you for recognizing me. Yeah, this is so applicable to United. We have a lot of stuff going on in this regard. So has this been presented to United yet? And is there going to be a committee that maybe I could
Yvonne
attend?
says yes.
It will be introduced to United next week, and it will be introduced to the 3rd board the following week.
Great. And then can I be involved in the committee? Or the,
Well,
I
that
don't know.
would be,
Whatever it is.
The
I hear people
appointment will
saying they
have to
want be
go
on
through,
it.
the appointment will have to go through the normal resolution process, Director Casey, that your board approves.
Okay. Okay, great. Great. Thank you.
okay, Reza?
I'm wondering, we talked about this one being intertwined by the nuisance policy. What kind of impact that's going to have on the whole resolution, if we are going to be mixing and matching or merging, or what's
Okay,
going to
we're
happen
not-
then?
The biggest problem that I saw, okay, is that many of the definitions in the nuisance policy are also called out in the anti-harassment policy. So we have to make sure that there is clear what is nuisance and what is harassment. So it doesn't affect this policy right here, what we have to do is work with our lawyer to be able to make sure the nuisance policy doesn't overlap to the anti-harassment. And one of the things that I saw in GRF's nuisance policy, it's a combination anti-harassment and nuisance, is disturbance, certain words that are being used in the nuisance policy that could confuse it and confuse how it should be treated as far as discipline. And so one of them was disturbance, another one was emailing. So based upon my education is that when you have consistent emailing, okay, it could be considered harassment instead of a nuisance. So I just want to make sure that we are totally legally correct and that we can separate nuisance with harassment, because nuisance to me is just something almost totally different, than harassment.
So when we put this in 28 days, then what happens to the nuisance policy? Because we haven't defined that. Who's going to, if something happened after this one approved and nuisance policy is still there, who's the judge?
We are going to review that this month in regards to the nuisance, but legally, this one is the latest one to be approved. And so because it's the latest one to be approved, this is what we follow.
So this will override nuisance policy.
Currently, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Clarify.
Okay. Good luck with that.
And does anybody want to make a comment on that? Okay, Elsie?
May I address Director Karimi?
Sure.
Reza, thank you, ma'am. Nuisance covers a broad, it can cover too many pots. It can cover people walking too loud on the people upstairs or making too much noise on the floor. Or, it covers a broad, but I can see the difference. And we don't want to do away with nuisance, but harassment is stuff like, hateful and scary and makes you feel creepy and makes you feel frightened.
Uncomfortable, yeah.
And it's something that affects you emotionally, as opposed to too many pots or your dog barks too much.
I agree. I just want to make sure that somebody invoked nuisance policy and we have this one and there's overlap, which way you go.
I don't see an overlap.
What's the governing document with clear distinction between harassment and nuisance?
Well,
that's all.
It would take a book to write every single nuisance thing.
That's what I said.
So to me, I don't see an overlap myself. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm going to make sure, and then we'll bring it to the board and we'll review it with legal and we'll make sure there's no overlap. So thank you. All right, so Richard Rader.
Thank you. I want to commend the board for producing a document that delineates our anti-harassment, anti-bias, and anti-intimidation policies, because violations of these policies are a very serious matter. So I would encourage, though, that you consider adding a statement which would say that if a board member, even after any appeals, has been found guilty of violating any of these rules in this document, and they are therefore disciplined, sanctioned, or censured, that this be made public to all our residents. This is similar to what happens in our federal, state, and local elections, and where the media makes us aware of any misdeeds by potential candidates. Similarly, when we vote for our village board directors, we want to consider their character, and thus censured or sanctioned behavior should be part of our voting decisions that we make. And in fact, if you look at the GRF 2022 Board of Directors Handbook, on page 26, you will see a statement that recognizes the importance of making this information available. It says essentially that the censored or sanctioned information can be made public. I would heartily endorse this document that you are coming forth with, but I think that I would encourage you to add the information that I just stated. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan, did you want to say something about that? I'd have to get did anyone take any minutes down of what he said so that we can reconsider it? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Is there any other discussion? Yeah, Jim?
Yeah, with what Mr. Rader said, should we still move forward with this resolution, or is he suggesting an amendment to it?
No, we're not going to, this has to do 28-day review.
Got it.
And so during that time, we can make amendments or editing, whatever we need to do before it comes before the board again. So we have that opportunity. Thank you. Richard, your hand is still up. Okay, so is there any other discussion?
I'm sorry, Bonnie, I'm sorry. I didn't unmute myself. I'm a little bit concerned with this 20-day interval because I'm not sure of what the board thought of what I said. There was no comment other than what Jim said. And I wondered, does anybody believe that this should be part of the document before it goes to all the other boards?
I think it should.
So
I'm surprised there's no comment.
No, we're thinking about it,
We're
Dick.
thinking, obviously. You see the
Right.
smoke
If you
rising.
can see us on the screen, we're thinking.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
We will take it under consideration.
serious
Okay, Jim?
consideration.
Yeah, I think we were considering it because there's a lot to consider, but I think for me personally, the direction that it's going in is the right direction. So I think we want to consider the wording and lots of other details associated with it. But I speak for me when I say that I think the direction that it goes in is the right direction.
Thank you. So Joan and then Debbie.
Well, there were two things. Debbie had suggested a hotline, for example, and we're going to consider that. And certainly, Dick, I agree with you personally that this information, if a director is guilty of violating these things, I think that definitely should be made public as part of but this is something they're going to have to consider passing along to the next boards.
Okay, so Siobhan's going to talk about that because it's confidential. So Siobhan, go on.
And I just wanted to mention we have three other boards involved in this. So we'll take all the feedback we have today, which has been excellent, back to the group and see how we collectively want to proceed.
Thank you, Siobhan.
Elsie has something.
Okay, so there's any other, okay, I see two more hands, Elsie and then Debbie.
Well, I've been long an advocate for publicization of directors' malfeasance, shall we say. That being said, it's this confidentiality business that's so, and I'm a native Californian, but I hate to say it, but we live in California, and our privacy and our dignity are strongly protected. And like I say, I think it'd be great to put it in there, but I think we really need to you'll consider it.
Right, we have to consider what the law is. Yeah. Okay, Debbie?
So that's exactly what I was going to say. It's not that we don't agree that that's important. It's just we have to be able to do it within the guidelines of the law. But I think that you won't get many people on this board that don't think that it's a good idea. It's just legally, can we do it?
Right, thank you, Debbie. Are there any other comments? Okay, so if there are no other comments, are there any objections? So if there are no objections, the anti-board, anti-harassment, anti-abuse, and anti-intimidation policy and the formation of a joint hearing body is approved unanimously. Thank you. And I can't tell you how much that staff would like to see this also. It's part of their strategic planning. And so we're basically working, the boards and staff, on in creating a good environment for everybody to enjoy our community, including the employees. Okay. So the next item is to entertain a motion to approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $22,569 for unforeseen permitting costs related to the replacement of two shops. So do we have a resolution on that? I think we do. Okay, so will you read the resolution, please?
Resolution 01-22-XX supplemental appropriation for change order for unforeseen permitting costs for hydraulic lifts in the mower shop. Whereas the Board of Directors awarded a contract to replace two hydraulic lifts in the mower shop. Sorry, there's a word missing. On September 7th, 2021. And supplemental funding in the amount of $51,890 was appropriated. And whereas the City of Laguna Woods is requesting significant additional requirements to obtain permits to install the replacement lifts, including engineered stamped drawings with calculations, seismic analyses and anchors, electrical drawings, load calculations, and an entire new dedicated electrical circuit for the lifts. And whereas the costs of these requirements exceed the contingency in the contract. Now, therefore, be it resolved May 3rd, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby authorizes a supplemental appropriation of $22,569 from the Facilities Fund to meet the requirements of the city and obtain all that is required for the lift permits. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this supplemental appropriation for the change orders of unforeseen permitting costs for the hydraulic lifts in the mower shop.
I second it.
Bond seconded.
Is there any discussion?
I have a problem with the unforeseen because we discussed that what exactly what they not need it for, what is unforeseen.
The city required it. It was unforeseen. We didn't know they were going to require it.
No, that's what I'm saying, but they are requirement. Now we know what the requirements are, right? It's not unforeseen, is
But
it?
we didn't when we did the budget.
Oh, I know, but I'm talking about the resolution.
It was unforeseen at the time of the budget.
Okay.
John, excuse me, Yvonne, you had your hand up?
No,
Okay.
I'm not going to argue about it.
Jim?
Yeah, I think the term unforeseen means it wasn't in the budget.
It wasn't in the budget.
That's all it really means. Yeah.
And it wasn't known at
Thank you
budget
for your
time.
explanation.
Thank you. Any other comments? So if there's no other comments, are there any objections? So if there's no objections, the motion to approve supplemental appropriation in the amount of $22,569 for permitting costs has been approved unanimously. Thank you. So the next item is entertain a motion to move bus benches to improve pedestrian movement. So Joan, do you want to read that resolution?
Resolution 90-22-XX, moving of bus benches to improve pedestrian movement. Whereas Laguna Woods Village has 266 bus benches located throughout the village that are used primarily by residents who utilize Laguna Woods Village transportation services. And whereas in December 2021, the General Services Department received a request to move bus benches that are obstructing the pathway of Vision Club members while walking on the sidewalks. And whereas pedestrian movement will be improved by moving the bus benches from the sidewalk to the adjacent grass area. And whereas on April 13th, 2022, the GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee recommended the board approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $97,625 to utilize contracted labor to install 40 current model green benches on adjacent grass areas. Now therefore be it resolved, June 7th, 2022, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $97,625 to be funded from the contingency fund for the relocation of 40 bus benches. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we accept this resolution for discussion purposes, postpone the final vote for 28 days per Civil Code 4360.
I happily second.
You
Debbie.
second it?
Happily.
Okay, is there any questions? Oh, just a comment. I think we need to specify, because I have heard on other news media, including the Globe, that it sounds like we are putting in 40 new benches in different places. We need to somehow or other specifically say that we are replacing the existing benches, moving them back, rather than putting in 40 more benches in other places. Because that, and again at the United Park, those are the things that came up. They're putting in 40 new benches. And people have contacted me saying, I want one here, I want one here, I want one here. We are replacing the existing benches in the existing locations. All we're doing is moving them back off the sidewalk in that location.
So therefore, in the now therefore paragraph, you're saying that instead of using relocation, use replacement.
Correct.
So it might read something like this, the amount of $97,625 to be funded from the contingency fund for the replacement of 40 existing benches.
Yes.
Replacement and relocation.
Relocation because they're relocating them back from the,
All they're doing is moving them back. They're not putting them in a different location.
but they need to put the word relocation too, because it is a relocation, even though it's a replacement. So why don't we say replacement and relocation at that point? So I know, Juanita, I don't know how else we say it, but when we publicize it, we need to say that it is
Right.
the replacement of 40 benches, but they have to be relocated. So,
Right.
so
It's
what?
just, I don't know if there's another word for relocation, but that word indicates to residents
So-
that we're moving them to a different location.
I would say add the word replacement before relocation, replacement and relocation. Now, Jim, you have something, and then
How about replacement? I mean, did I say replacement?
the trouble.
Relocation means taking something that exists and moving it.
Yeah, but it can also be, I understand.
Relocation.
Elsie, you have
Elsie,
something?
Elsie.
I,
All right.
and I understand exactly what Debbie's saying, but relocation also means sending you to Detroit to start a new job. I mean, relocation
Right.
is pretty broad. However, if we just said for the,
Replacement.
How about
Replacement.
repositioning?
What if you say
Repositioning, that's the word. Reposition, that's the word.
repositioning?
It didn't come out.
Repositioning instead of relocation, say
But
repositioning.
we are buying new ones too, so.
Yeah, but it's replacement is the new one. So replacement slash repositioning.
Or just moving
No,
backwards.
no. So instead of relocation, put in repositioning.
Reposition.
Okay,
so replacement and repositioning.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Melcy.
Moving.
Thank you.
Putting on a lawn.
Putting it on
Okay.
the lawn. Replacement slash repositioning. You got that, Michelle? Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, you're right. That
Madam
way-
Chair, if I may, this is the thing that's really important, because this is why we need buy-in from United, because it's United
Mostly.
land that we are moving them back onto. Sidewalks maybe ours, but the land that we're pushing them back onto. And so it's important that they understand that that's all we're doing, and we're not putting new bunches other places.
Okay, thank you, Ania.
You're right.
Diane has her hand up online.
Diane, I see your hand. Thank you.
Yes, hi. Yes. Yeah, no, this did come up to our board, and I would just say, what you're saying is to relocate or to reposition it so that they know it is the existing bench, and it's just going on to what was the lawn, but now new cement pad. But yeah, that's good.
If I can just make one more statement. If you say reposition existing benches, it kind of clarifies everything.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Repositioning existing.
Whatever clarity we have to add.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. But they know they're not getting new ones, new ones wherever they want them.
Okay, who's speaking?
And also, it's not all of the benches. Like a lot of the white benches that are there, they're going to stay.
No, we're only moving, I think it's 40
40 of the 266.
out of 266.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, is there any other questions? So if there's no other questions, are there any objections? There are no objections. Then the motion to move bus benches to improve pedestrian movement is approved unanimously. And for those who don't know, this initiative basically came from the Vision Club, and they came to the board and asked that we couldn't possibly move these benches because when they walk along those sidewalks, it's very difficult for those that are vision impaired. So the next item is discussion. And it's basically a discussion as to how GRF takes care of their clubhouses, okay? And so I have, brought the subject up because I would like to see if staff could come up with a scheduled maintenance program for our clubhouses. And the reason for that is that right now, out of the reserves, every 20 years or 30 years, I don't know how long it is, between these clubhouses that they get any attention. And so to me, GRF as a trustee is not living up to their responsibility by letting the maintenance go. I mean, it could mean just it just needs paint, or it needs to have the ceiling tiles. So we don't want to wait. My thinking is we wouldn't want to wait 20 or 30 years in order to keep the clubhouses up. So with that program, the program would also include having feasibility studies so that we know that these buildings, the clubhouses, are structurally sound, and that at that time we would only do construction when it's needed, and not just to improve the clubhouses to make them up to date, basically, in some people's eyes. To me, we should be keeping them up to date all the time. So it is a discussion at this point in time because the board has to review this because it is a change of the way we have been doing business. And so Jim had his hand up first.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll tell you, I totally support this effort. One of the things that GRF...
Is your microphone on?
Yeah. GRF is currently, finance is currently coordinating the first reserve study. It should be completed shortly. If it's not completed, they may have been, they may be just gathering the data and putting a report together. But with that report, that can start us on the journey towards how we should attack the maintenance program. So I support this completely. It will change the profile of reserves versus operating, but we can deal with that. But it's the right thing to do, in my opinion.
Thank you, Jim. So, Debbie?
Yeah, as a member of the Clubhouse Renovation Committee, I feel I was really surprised that we didn't. Egon, you're not muted. Yeah, well, you didn't get called on. Oh, there you go. As a member of the Clubhouse Renovation Committee, I was really surprised that we didn't have a regular maintenance schedule in place. And so I strongly support that we do what we need to do from a business perspective to put this into play. Because our clubhouses are our flagships, and they're not looking so hot. So let's do what we need to do to make sure that we get them up as nice as they can and they stay that way. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other discussion? Okay, let Diane and then Juanita.
I have a problem.
And then, and Egon, you want to talk too?
Yes, I'm on the phone and I can't raise a hand, so just whenever you recognize me, okay?
Okay. Did he say he wanted to talk?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay, go ahead and then Diane. So Egon, go ahead, speak, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So I've already scheduled a workshop for the second Wednesday in May in order to discuss, among other things, this issue because you brought it up. And so at that point, we may want to discuss how we would go about doing this and set up some KPIs or some other tracking mechanisms. That's all I had to say. So that'll be available to be discussed, and you'll be invited to that meeting, Bunny.
Well, I think that the Clubhouse Committee has made a great start in hiring interior designers to be able to establish some standards by which we would be able to follow, through the years in regards to colors and that sort of thing. So, okay, Diane?
Yeah, I was just going to say, agree with Debbie, and what you're just saying now is that in that ad hoc committee, which we haven't met recently, to my knowledge, but, it's just to keep the beautification of these clubhouses together, and that would also require, maintenance. So, you have that ad hoc committee that's established now, and it just seems like that could just be part of their agenda. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Jim and then Juanita. Okay, I'm sorry, Juanita, I didn't mean to pass you up.
One of the things I would suggest is that staff really prepare what they believe to be the correct maintenance program along with they've got the resident experts, so to speak, and they know how to go about doing it. So I think they have to be an integral part of whatever discussions happen.
No, I agree. I know we can't, it has to be in collaboration with staff and based upon their recommendations. Okay, so Juanita.
My turn, okay. It's not that we don't do anything for 20 or 30 years, but the fact that we are reactive rather than proactive on our clubhouses. And I agree, what we need is a preventive maintenance plan for clubhouses, similar to what the housing ones have for the different housing units. And that's something we need to ask staff for. But I think we're headed in the right direction. We just don't want to fall behind. There are state laws that are coming up that could affect these things, and we need to be cognizant of them and make sure that we're ahead of them instead of in backup of them.
Thank you. Reza?
I think the scheduled maintenance and preventive maintenance is something that I'm sure that VMS have something of that already in place because, that's pretty much part of the operation.
I was going to answer for operations, yes, but not necessarily for aesthetics. And, you change the carpet every 9 years, you paint the walls every 12 years, something like that. I think we need an all-encompassing approach.
Okay, all right.
Yes, because right now in the reserve study, it basically covers things like the HVAC, major equipment, that we have to review, but not the aesthetics of the clubhouses. So, all right. Any other comments?
Yeah, I agree that this should be actually initiated by the VMS, put the schedule, everything together and bring it to the committee and then, yeah. I'm sorry if I'm repeating. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have to initiate it, and we have to provide staff direction, and the board needs to do that. So I'm going to ask Siobhan, how do you think we should go forward?
I have our key staff members here. I have Manuel from MNC, Brian from Recreation, and Ian also from MNC. I'm going to ask Manuel or Brian to step forward and let me know how you would like to proceed.
Good morning. Good morning, board members. What I would suggest is that you give us an opportunity to bring back to you maybe let's just call it a preventive maintenance plan for now. We can title it whatever we think is appropriate later. We'll bring you back at least 2 options for the major furnishing categories, carpeting, ceiling tiles, furniture, painting, both interior and exterior. We'll try to put some cost to those so that give you a sense of what we think you would need to set aside annually in order to implement a plan like that. And then as one of the directors indicated, I believe he's tentatively scheduled a workshop of the MNC committee, if that's where the board would like us to start. I'm happy to do that. And then bring back something after they've had a chance to review it and provide input on it. If the meeting is already scheduled for, I think he said in a week or 2, we probably won't have something available by then, but we can certainly get input to make sure that we've taken into account all of the elements that the committee or the board would want to see. I think, again, some of them are obvious: carpeting, painting, ceiling tiles, but you may also want to consider fixtures, bathroom fixtures,
Right.
electrical, furnished door, wood furnishing, and wood surfaces. It can get pretty extensive, so I think it would be good to have, perhaps at the MNC committee, try to at least get some guidance as to what elements you would like to see included in this plan.
Okay, so Joan?
I would think we might also have regular building inspections, not like, you have this in the housing, and, it includes plumbing and electrical and all that sort of thing, either individual systems or the safety of the buildings, because they're old. And, it doesn't have to be every year, obviously, but just extended, somehow have a regular inspection. And I think Jim has already mentioned that in his review for the that's coming up. So just a thought. Besides all the niceties, we need to really get down to the nitty gritty, because we ran into a lot of trouble with Clubhouse 2, if you remember, group.
Okay, we've got a lot of people here. Okay, I don't know who's first. Is Debbie and then Jim?
Bunny, I'd just like to ask, though, that we determine in this process how it's going to go, because I'm not on MNC, but I'm on Clubhouse Renovation. So if there's a workshop and they're going to talk about this, I won't know anything about it. So I just think we have to have clarity of who should be in the line of succession in this particular situation. That's all I'm asking. Because our clubhouse renovation committee has worked hard. But we're not all on M&C.
Right.
So,
Okay.
thanks.
Jim?
Yeah, I kind of see this in two broad brushes. One is, what do we need to do now to bring everything up to standard? And then the other thing is, how do we maintain that standard and possibly improve that standard over time? So I don't see it as unconnected. I think both have to be considered, not necessarily right away, but certainly part of the plan. So if that makes a difference, what I see is, I'm not sure what the workshop is all about or any of the other specific meetings, but to me, it's difficult to deal with any of this with a level of specificity unless it's fixing something now. But the whole plan is to say, what do we do now? What do we do in the future so that we don't get in this position again?
And I actually, I think it's a board decision rather than an M&C decision, because, so I would like to have it brought back to the board before it goes to M&C, because M&C would be to implement it. Okay, so Brian, did you have something to say?
Sure. No, the only thing I was going to say is obviously we have to take into consideration the amount of reservations that we already have in place, because we, reserve a lot of times at least 6 months out in advance. So that's going to be something to certainly consider, the impact on the clubs and the reservations.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That would be all a part of the plan for the scheduling and that sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Thank
but I love the idea.
Okay.
Okay.
Yvonne?
I just have one question. Would fixtures fall in there too? Because we have parts and chairs that are like 40 years old, and that kind of stuff needs to be replaced too.
It can go in that plan, or it can be addressed separately. I know Brian has budgeted in the CIP separately for chairs at certain clubhouses, but we can take a look and decide which location that belongs in.
But it's all over. I'm just trying to say. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments? Elsie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is more of a food for thought, and all this, kind of dismay. It's older, it's aging. I just want to point out that Hagia Sophia in Istanbul is still standing with the original dome that was created in 568 AD. So for 1,454 years, with some facelifting, but no major renovation, Hagia Sophia still stands. So just shift our perspective a little. Aging isn't necessarily bad.
In California, I don't know if I agree with that.
I was just going to say, I'm not.
If we were in other states, I would say yes.
It's just food for thought.
Yes.
Yeah, just like Persian carpet. It gets better with the age.
Yes. I've visited many other states, and I can tell you the building of their houses are all much better than what we've done here in California.
And they probably don't have earthquakes like we do.
Right. So, okay, Juanita?
I just like to say that I think the M&C and the clubhouse renovation are all part of this, but to me, because this is a multi-year thing, this needs to be worked on strategic planning.
It's all connected, yep.
Well, first we want to come to the board, okay? And because it would be basically the board that wants to make the decision as to the change in a business plan, the way we go forward. And then at that point in time, and these are just my thoughts, okay, that we can put it into the appropriate committee to go forward. And it's true, strategic planning would have to be a part of that, because we wouldn't be, doing everything all at once. I have to agree with you. But So basically, I'm thinking that we need to have a vote on this in order to direct staff. Yeah, in order to direct staff to go forward and bring back a plan. Okay, so, all right, they moved and seconded. All right, any other discussion?
It's, I think on the preventive or scheduled maintenance, I don't think it has to go to strategic planning because those are things that have to be done regardless. That should be part of our budgeting. Any other thing, like how many years, before you change the carpet or before you paint,
Right.
those are the things that can go to the strategic planning and see, and that has to be coordinated with the renovation process because, those two are, combined, because we have planned for renovation and then after that you do those kind of maintenance, another 5 years, 10 years. But the scheduled maintenance should be in the budget, should be, ongoing process, nothing that we have
No,
to.
and I agree with you. Part of that program, though, is when we would have to renovate any of the clubhouses and make any structurally changes. And so if there's any structural changes, that would be part of strategic planning. So we just need to work together on that. So, we had a motion and seconded. Is there any other discussion? So if there's no further discussion, then are there any objections?
Restate the motion.
The motion is that we want to direct staff to develop a clubhouse maintenance program.
Okay.
And that's it, okay. So the clubhouse maintenance program has been approved unanimously. Thank you. And so the next question is, how long will this take? I know you're going to love that.
What I'd like to suggest is that at your next board meeting, we come back and give you an update on where we are with that plan.
Okay.
Hopefully, it'll be well along, but if it's not, if we're only 50% there, then we'll report that to you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Break time?
Pardon? Yes, it looks like people are looking for a break.
I am.
Okay, 5-minute break. What time is it now? It's 11:18, so 11:25.
Thank you.
Okay.
I waited as long as I could. Not bad.
By the way, there. Okay, we're on the air. So we shall resume the meeting, and the next item is the committee reports. And so Jim Hopkins, will you report on the finance and the treasury report and the finance committee report?
Okay. I see the chart's up. This is slide one.
Microphone.
All right, let me do it this way.
Okay, thank you.
My voice doesn't carry, I guess. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, first chart shows that through the reporting period of March 31st, 2022, the GRF full accounting statement had a net income of $1,003,000, with a total revenue of $11,432,000, and total expense of $10,429,000. GRF was better than budget by $449,000, with total expenses coming in at $1,244,000 better than anticipated. The favorable results seen in the expenses were partially offset by lower revenues of $795,000. Slide 2, please. The operating fund results, and that's without depreciation, shows a favorable variance of $1,120,000 through the reporting period, with expenses better than budget by $1,239,000, offset by revenue worse than budget by $119,000. Please note that the operating fund does not include reserve fund additions, transfer facility fund income, nor gain or loss on our investment portfolio valuation. Slide 3, please. The next chart shows the reserve and trust facility funds and restricted revenues and expenses. Together, these funds show an unfavorable variance of $672,000 through the reporting period, with revenue worse than budget by $676,000, and expense better than budget by just $4,000. The unfavorable variance is primarily driven by non-cash $749,000 valuation loss in our long-term bond fund portfolio. This loss is about 3.5% of our portfolio and should not impact our short or long-term goals. Our investment advisor expects the values to recover and actually show gain before maturity of these bond funds. However, the visual is not comfortable as we look at our financial performance on an annual basis and not a long-term basis. Slide 4, please. This slide shows our most significant operating variances only by category, with the green bars representing the favorable variances and the orange bars representing our unfavorable variances. Overall, we had favorable variances in employee compensation of $600,000, and that's primarily due to recreation and various other positions unfilled, resulting in clubhouse closures over the COVID span and limited hours open to members. In addition, open positions in general services, security, maintenance, and construction contributed to the variance. Recruitment is in progress. Materials and supplies show a favorable variance of $294,000 due to less materials needed for clubhouses and material and vehicle repairs due to limited hours scheduled for the clubhouses and less vehicles being driven due to open positions. The outside services expense shows a favorable variance of $141,000, and that's due to unutilized evening janitorial services as the clubhouses again remain closed and only open for limited hours. In addition, less services such as vehicle repairs, car washes are utilized. Professional fees expense also shows a favorable variance of $118,000 due to the timing of invoices for audit and tax preparation. So what that says is that's going to fill in. It's favorable right now, but eventually we will have to pay those bills. On the unfavorable side, the broadband service revenues are $154,000 less than expected due to lower high-speed internet revenue sharing than budget. The budget anticipated that the contract renegotiation in which GRF would be awarded higher revenue sharing percentage have not taken place yet, and those negotiations are still ongoing. The variance was furthered by less ad insertion as a result of ongoing COVID-19 pandemic causing advertisers to spend less. And last but not least, utilities and telephone expense is unfavorable by $83,000 due to higher natural gas costs in the Recreation Department due to rising rates. The variance was furthered by higher water expense for the golf course. And this is a result of a 77% less rainfall than the 3-year average that we use for budgeting. Slide 5, please. This slide looks at our sources of revenue other than assessments, such as fees and rentals. To date, we have received just over $2,407,000 of non-assessment revenue. As expected, our largest revenue is broadband services at 54%. That's the set boxes, the internet insertion, internet ad insertion, and also premium channels. And that's followed by golf revenues at 23% of the $2.4 million. Clubhouse rentals and merchandise sales make up 12%, and the other sales bottom out at 11%. Slide 6, please. The operating expenses to date, excluding depreciation, are just under $9.1 million. The pie chart again shows the largest category is compensation at 63%, despite the challenges of bringing on staff. Cable programming and franchise fees are at 12%, and the next largest expense next largest expense is insurance and professional. Next slide, please. The reserve and restricted funds are shown here. Starting with the first column on the left, the reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $31.6 million. Restricted fund balances have an ending balance of $2.4 million. Those restricted funds are essentially contingency funds. Included in this total are contributions received this year through assessments, trust facility fees, and investment earnings or losses. The second column shows the work in process of $2 million for reserve and $43,000 for restricted, reflecting the amounts paid for projects not yet completed. The third column represents the resulting adjusted fund balance of $29.6 million and $2.3 million for the restricted fund. Slide 8, please. This slide shows our resale history from 2020 through 2022. Our community-wide sales so far total 256 through March. This is 50% higher than 2020 and 22% over 2021 for the same period. Most of these transactions generate the trust facilities fee, used as a source of revenue for our reserves. Please note that the new transfer fee is $7,500 and went into effect for purchase contracts entered into after January 1st or closing after March 31st, 2022. Slide 9, please. This listing gives you an idea of where the reserve money is committed. Of the $12.9 million appropriated by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserve is $10.8 million, and this covers more than just 1 year, primarily for renovation projects. Restricted funds had a total appropriation of $50,000, and remaining encumbrances for that is just $7,000. Slide 10, last slide. We compare our adjusted fund balances to the historical balances for the past 5 years on this next chart, showing that GRF has averaged $25 million in reserve funds and $1.3 million in contingency funds over the last 5 years. As you can see, the fund balances have increased over the last 4 years as we prepare to address our aging infrastructure. We are expecting the GRF reserve study to be completed and presented to us in the near future, and we can make better judgments as to how to use these reserve funds. And that completes the report. Any questions?
If we could go back to slide 1, it'll clarify what I'm asking. We understand, but sometimes our residents don't when they're looking at this, the difference between thousands and millions. Now, on many of the others, they put the K in parentheses after to show thousands. This says that it's in thousands, and yet the net revenue is 1 million. But if they read it just like this, they think it's 1,003. So if we put an M next to where it's a million, it would clarify easily rather than adding all the zeros that we would have to do that show it is a million.
We'll consider that. When you say a million, that's really 1,003. And you could put a K behind it, but not necessarily an M behind it.
But it looks like it's 1,003 if you compare it to the ones above it that are in thousands. And it says it's in thousands. So to differentiate that it's a million, we either have to put those extra zeros in it or an M or something like that.
We'll consider that. Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank
Thanks. Any other questions? Good. Thank you. I guess I'll give my report as the Finance Committee Chair. We did meet this last April 20th, and we did endorse a couple of things that were actually presented to the board today. So what you saw today did get the financial endorsement, again, or recommendation to move forward. And that's it for the financial.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Yeah, thanks. That's it.
So the next report will be Strategic Planning Committee, Debbie Dotson.
Yeah, hi. We actually just met yesterday, and we had a good meeting. There's a lot of information that the committee needs, and so one of the things that'll be reflective in the committee, based on, again, on what Juanita said earlier too, is, we need the reserve study. We need information, and that's what we're doing right now, and we've been gathering information. I just sent out questionnaires to the committee members, and we're going to be working on those. Siobhan presented the VMS Strategic Plan to us, and that is, we want to model somewhat like that as far as our questions, but we still need community input, and so I'm going to be working with Meeting Communications on how best to accomplish that goal. We had determined several months ago that we didn't want a formal study, but we still need some questions answered, and that's going to be important. But strategic planning as a committee is more of a steering committee, and what we will be doing is when we determine the needs, then we can put everything together. We'll be working with all these other committees and then ultimately with the entire board. So that's kind of what we talked about yesterday during our meeting. So that's it. And we don't have another meeting scheduled yet, but we will publish it on the calendar once we do have it. Yes?
I was present and I'm not listed.
Oh. Okay. Was she on, when I signed the minutes? I thought I had seen her name. I think I saw your name on my minutes, but
What month are those minutes from?
They were from yesterday's meeting.
The minutes in the
Oh, you
packet are
wouldn't
not
even
from
have the
yesterday's
minute-
meeting.
Wouldn't have the minutes ready.
yeah, I
by
don't, well, no. You're talking about where the last meeting's minutes?
Yes, it says directors present.
Yeah, that was for the previous meeting, not yesterday. We didn't add yesterday's yet, right?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no, we'll make sure you're listed for when it gets published for the next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is CAC, Yvonne Horton.
Thank you, Madam President. The Garden Center Volunteer Program is underway. Also, the Garden Center surveillance camera installation and signage is being completed. Hopefully, this will deter the thefts that they've been having over there. The shortage of part-time employees still plagues the Recreation Department. However, the volunteer program at Clubhouse 6 has allowed us to open the clubhouse on a limited basis. I wanted to mention that the children's swim program is starting on May 27th at Pool 6. And it is over at 4 o'clock, but there will be continued swimming for adults until 6 o'clock. Also, Pool 2 has reopened and Pool 1 is now undergoing its annual maintenance. I wanted to note that 375 people have signed up for the Village Games. Yay! And renovations is still ongoing at the Performing Arts for the rental rooms and the kitchens. Last month's meeting of the CAC committee was rather lively, would be an understatement. We had lots of input regarding updates at the Garden Center rules. The updates were tabled until we could address the concerns of the gardeners. The updates for the tennis rules were also tabled because we just flat ran out of time. That concludes my report. The next meeting is May 12th at 1:30 in the boardroom or virtually. Thank you.
Okay, so the next is the Equestrian Center Ad Hoc Committee, and as you know, we meet quarterly. And so the only thing new that I would add is they just launched Help the Herd 2, okay, which is VCF donation. And on this Help the Herd 2 is they seek to raise a total of $33,000, which would cover, the money to complete the shade shelters, okay? And another phase 2 would be the veterinarian care, and then phase 3 would be a campaign will provide much needed funds to replace old round pen at the top of the hill. So that's all I have to report right now, except to remind people that we have a Renaissance Fair on May 21st.
That's
May
right.
21st. Okay, yes.
I wanted to mention that we do have another new horse named Gus, and he is brought in to accommodate our members that are over 200 pounds. Sorry, we had to get a big horse. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, and that's my report for the Equestrian Center. So the next item would be the report of the Landscape Committee. Juanita Skillman.
Thank you. The Landscape Committee also meets quarterly. So our last meeting was March 9th. I reported on it at our April meeting, and the minutes are in your packet. What we are doing is spotlighting one section of our landscape department at each meeting. And our next meeting is June 8th, and we will be featuring the ground maintenance. For those of you who do not come to our meetings, Landscape has been giving us absolutely fantastic updates with charts and pictures and staffing, it's just really showing. This last one was trees, and it was an excellent, excellent report. So anybody that's interested in landscaping, please come to the meeting on June 8th. Thank you.
Okay, the next would be the report of the maintenance and construction. So Egon, do you want me to read it?
No, I can read it. Can you hear me?
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Okay, we had an extensive meeting on April 13th, and we discussed a number of issues. One that you've already heard about was the relocation of benches off the sidewalk in certain areas. We discussed a number of things there. A couple of things that came up is, one of the things is that to replace the benches as close as possible to the old ones, within the landscape. Two, to install the new ones before removing the old ones. Check any legal issues by moving off the sidewalk onto either Third or United grass areas. And last but not least, don't call them bus benches. The bus benches have a very specific connotation to within some cities, and we maybe end up having to put wind and rain shelter in with bus benches. The next thing we discussed was the request to hold on some method of waterproofing the hay so that when it rains, the water doesn't go in there. And there was just a discussion and some ideas. We'll work on that some more. We had a verbal report that the pickleball lighting was completed, and we have a verbal report on the employee parking lot lighting status. But as of this reading, it is now operational, and it looks pretty good. Shepherd's Crook near Gate 3, that's this year's installment. Some shrubbery and tree branches need removal in order to put them in. There's a verbal report on the golf driving range, some proposed savings. And finally, in the open meeting, there was the Melrock Energy Management System. There's a verbal report given and a suggestion that we might send representatives to look at such a system in operation at either Claremont College or UCI. On the closed meeting, we had one issue, and that was that we recommended forwarding the community center remodel contract to the GRF board at today's meeting, at the closed meeting. And that's the report on the MC meeting. There was no clubhouse ad hoc committee meeting. However, we did have a task force that came up with a number of consultants, and we got bids from 2 consultants, and a meeting to interview these candidates will be scheduled by staff, and we will then interview these 2 candidates and make a selection. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the report of the Media and Communications Committee. Joan Melman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Media and Communications met Monday, April 18th, and at our meeting, Ms. Paulin reviewed the activities of the communications, including 73 projects tracked, 125 posts to the website, and the CEO's office is fielding 400 to 500 phone calls and information through email for information Laguna Woods Village. The village breeze is out, and all of you have seen that and how beautiful it is. CR&R trash rollout and new bulky item collection process is communicated in the magazine, on e-blast, and on the message board. So be sure you read up on our trash collection. Ms. Poland and Ms. Foster are visiting various associations around the village and talking to different groups, including the Garden Villa Association. And they plan to continue to go out and meet with resident groups from time to time. Ms. Poland and Ms. Foster are visiting various associations around the village and talking to different groups, including the Garden Villa Association. And they plan to continue to go out and meet with resident groups from time to time. Ms. Poland and Ms. Foster are visiting various associations around the village and talking to different groups from time to time. New resident orientations and docent tours are in person and running well. And the request for new docents is received with a great response, and they are all in training right now. Attendance numbers are up and for new resident orientations and for the docent tours as well. On Village Television, Ms. Pullen highlighted several programs we already know. This day is broadcasting 6 days a week. We have movies Monday, Friday, and Saturday. The Trading Post show is alive and well. We also are seeing the City Council meetings for Laguna Woods. The Let's Talk Tech show is up and running. There are over 2,000 minutes of original content on our Village Television. There's also a new show that's out on Sunday afternoons. It's called Did You Know? It's hosted by Rebecca Gillard, who is introducing people in our community from all over the world. So be sure and tune in. That's Sunday afternoons at 3:30. You'll also notice some new art in the lobby here in the community center. The Art Association is participating in the Earth Month public awareness campaign, along with the famous artist Robert Weiland. And they're working with the municipal water district. So be sure and check out those paintings there in the lobby next to the community desk. Website is going to be being updated. We have now a completed website committee, and we'll be going forward with that very soon. And you'll be hearing from us over and over again and getting your input as to how to improve the website. Mr. Ortiz reported that there's been a 22% increase in subscribers compared to a year ago for Village Television and the YouTube channel. More people are streaming and using the internet to view a lot of their content. So our regular big channels, our movie channels, our big subscription channels are going down while internet is going up. That's as it should be as we change over to internet eventually. He reported that internet subscribers are converting many of them to higher speeds and because of the demand for bandwidth. So there's a lot of interaction with their devices going on in the village. One other thing I want you to notice, when you see Village Television now, you'll notice there's a new desk in the studio, and that new desk was almost a gift to us. It cost only $2,000 as opposed to the $17,500 we'd set aside for a new desk. We got it from another company that offloaded some of their old, quotes, old furniture, but it's pretty new to us. It's beautiful. Ms. Paulin stated that the advisor, we're looking forward to getting a schedule for an advisor handbook that's going to be coming out, and deadlines for that will be posted soon. Also, staff is waiting to hear back from the West Coast Internet regarding prices increase and so on. We'll be dealing with that next time, and our next meeting will be Monday, May 16th at 1:30. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. So the next item will be mobile vehicles, and I would like Dawn to continue to security and community access.
All right. Staff Officer Robert Carroll gave us an update on our ridership program. As you know, that includes the fixed route, the journey program, and the boost program. And as of the 1st of April, the trends are going up since the start of COVID a couple of years ago. And as of April 1st, we are about 2/3 back to our numbers of 2 years ago. And we hope that it continues. The destination program that people are asking about is still on hold. There's no date set yet to get it restarted. The committee was provided some up-to-date vehicle delivery services. We are still lacking some because of delivery is just slow, as it is all over. We had some good discussions. One that you'd be interested in, I'm sure, is the the purchase price we pay for vehicles, and it was suggested, in fact, it was suggested by Egan that staff look into the possibility of purchasing good used cars. This has been looked into in the past, and they want to do it again, and compare those prices with brand new fleet prices and see which deal would be the best for us. So we'll look into that, and I'll keep you up to date. As a reminder, we have a meeting with Agewell. That will be the last meeting for all residents at Clubhouse 1 tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And you are definitely invited to be there. And then after that, this board will make a decision soon, hopefully, what we're going to do. Our next regular meeting will be on June 1st at 1:30. Now, the next update is for security. We have a new chief of staff, Eric Nunez. He's a retired police chief of different areas. His last assignment was when was up by the Rossmore area. As you know, Rossmore is a retirement community, so he is familiar with retirement communities. A few of the highlights of the meeting, we had 28 falls by residents who needed service. They fell, they couldn't get back up. And that's a little higher than it was the month before. In area of compliance, we had 54 illegal occupancies, 63 unauthorized alterations, and when those are caught, they have to be undone and redone properly, so it's expensive. If you want an alteration, follow the procedures. Carport clutter, there were 63 areas reported with a lot of stuff. We had 52 illegally parked cars, and for some reason, we're getting more cars than we've had in the past. We have a limit of how many cars you are supposed to have, but some people are going over it. 2 discussions and recommendations will be coming up at our next meeting, and I'll give you a heads up on it. It's the staff is recommending the installation of solar-powered stop signs in about, where they're needed to help reduce speed and accidents. And we discussed it, the committee supports it. And the other discussion was additional stop signs. We want about 21 stop signs where we've had a lot of complaints from residents, a lot of speed, and we think that will help reduce that problem. Also, we approved or recommended to come. I thought it would be here at this meeting today, but it's not. But you'll be getting next month the installation of no bicycles allowed in Aliso Creek. People are still going in there, and they are not allowed. The last item that came up from a resident was the policy we have on drones. She wanted to know if we could fly drones in here, and the answer is no. Drones are not allowed. In fact, Eileen Paulin sent me a policy that this board approved 2 years ago that drones are allowed only by staff as needed. That's the end of the report. Our next meeting will be June 27th at 1:30. Thank you.
Good report.
And are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Traffic
you so much.
management.
The next item is the report on Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings, and that's Director Addington.
Thank you, Madam President. The regular meeting of the Laguna Woods Village Traffic Hearing Committee, which includes Golden Rain Foundation, Third and United, and 50 representatives, met on April 20th in the morning in a hybrid meeting. There were 4 people scheduled. The first 2 were no-shows, and so they were found guilty as charged. I don't like that word guilty, but they were found responsible as charged. One was a contractor truck that was parked in guest parking, and it was, warned a couple times, and the tires were marked, et cetera, and they just wouldn't move. And then when the officer went and tried to contact the person who the contractor was listed to, he had no luck. So he was ticketed, and then they didn't show up. So that was guilty. And then there was also a golf cart parked in the wrong place, obstructing traffic in an underground parking garage. Mm-hmm. It was like an open parking area, but you can't park, so you're obstructing traffic as it goes out. And they didn't show up either. So they got a fine. And then one person did show up, and he was accused of parking on the sidewalk, and there was some discussion about that because he said they had asked if anybody could park there, and they said yes, anybody can park there. It's open parking, but he said if he didn't park on the sidewalk, that other people couldn't get out of there. Anyway, it got a little confusing. Not confusing exactly. It got a little entailed. Anyway, upon consideration of all the facts, he was found guilty. And then we had one person that was scheduled for an appeal, and this is an amusing way to end this. This is under the category of no good deed goes unpunished. We actually reduced this lady's fine last month, or a couple months ago, and anyway, she's appealing that now, and we don't know if she's appealing her ticket again, or if she's appealing her reduced fine. And so our next meeting will be May 18th at 9, and again, it will be here in the boardroom or electronically. Thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. The next one is information technology. I almost forgot you. Sorry. Okay, report of the Disaster Preparedness Task Force, and that's Director Skillman.
All right, the Disaster Preparedness Task Force only meets every other month, so our meeting was March 29th. I gave a detailed report at our April meeting, and the minutes are in our packet. We had the regular radio drill in April, and 15 of 16 people were responding. And we look forward to our next meeting on May 31st at 9:30 in the boardroom and as a virtual meeting, at which time we will welcome Eric Nunez, our new security director. And that's my report.
Thank you. The next report is Information Technology Advisory Committee, Director Hopkins.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, the ITAC committee meets weekly, and just recently we signed the contract with our Microsoft partner Avantika, and thanks to Bunny and all those who contributed to signing of a great contract where we've got a full schedule of activities over the next 2.5 years while we implement this life-changing project within the community. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, we've got the contract signed, and so Chuck is working with them in order to see what the workflow is going to be, right?
Right.
Okay.
We're now planning all of the activities for the first phase.
Okay, great.
And moving forward with that. As you know, Chuck will be out after this meeting coming up. He'll be out for the next 2 meetings, but
Okay.
the work will still continue to go on.
Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes?
I just want to refer everybody to the article in the Breeze, this current Breeze, on this very thing. It's a huge article. If you didn't see it, there's a big report from ITAC.
Yeah, thanks, Joan. It's a great article. It was written by all of us, mainly Debbie. But it is a great article and really explains a lot about what this project is all about and how beneficial it will be for us now and into the future.
Okay, thank you. I have to read that yet. Okay, the next item is the website ad hoc committee, Director Millman.
Wow, well, we just formed. So we're in the process now of going forward with our meetings, as I explained in my media and communications report. So you'll be hearing more from us soon.
Okay, so the Insurance Ad Hoc Committee will have their first meeting on May 9th. And I'm proud to say that we have some people that have insurance experience. Insurance, one of the advisors was an advocate for insurance. And we'll basically be looking for all avenues of insurance that might improve the situation that we have right now. But my conversations with Anthony, last year, was the fact that we need to, as a community, the directors, look into all avenues and see if there's any way to bring down the insurance costs. One of the things that was not on here, the purchasing task force. And at this point in time, we've worked with staff and we've done quite a bit of updating. And so we will be having another meeting with this month sometime in order to review some of the changes that were made to the purchasing policy, which was updated to help sort of help the transition going into the ERP system. And basically it's a lot more detailed than it was before, I can tell you that. So I'm looking forward to that meeting. We're almost complete with our efforts to do that, to put the package together, and then we would bring it before the boards, to approve. So that's the reports, and so I see there are no further agenda items. Is there any comments or requests for future agenda items? So if there's okay.
No, I just want to, we're going to be putting on what we talked about earlier with the clubhouse updates. That should be on future agenda.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is, clubhouse maintenance plan, program.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so the next item, director comments. Do we have any director comments here? Okay, Juanita.
I would like to encourage all of our directors who I know get common ground from CAI. The latest issue has a fantastic article entitled The Middle Group. Community associations have become unhealthy micronisms of a divided nation. It's time to recognize the ruptures and bring neighbors back together again. Being right must take a backseat to being neighborly, even for those who disagree. It's a wonderful article and gives a lot of things that we really need to think about, because that's certainly prevalent in this community. And secondly, which I will bring up at the insurance committee, there is a bill, AB 2450, in the legislature right now, which defines wildfires and would take it out of insurance requirements and make it, instead of being mandatory, would make it one that deductible that we could choose or not. And that would make a big difference in our property insurance fees. So we need to keep track of where that's going.
Okay, thank you, Juanita. Do we have any other comments? So if there's no other comments, we will recess to our lunch upstairs in a closed meeting. Yes. Thank you, everybody. This was a good meeting.
What time will we reconvene?
Pardon?
What time will the closed meeting begin?
Well, we have to eat, so 12:30? 1:45. 12:45, sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
12:45.
Check with her, but that's what the,
Okay, thank you.
that's what the regulation says.
Oh, much better than last.